I need to do that because
No, right now I'm going to post it on YouTube. Okay.
okay, got you.
And the reason I'm going to do that is because I keep having BS stuff with
Facebook.
Facebook where they claim that there's copyrighted material
Mhm.
uh, when actually there's not. Okay, I've taken it all out, and they still say it. So
Mhm.
and then I have to go through some appeal process, and then finally they
Mhm.
release it. Okay, and
Mhm.
if I go on YouTube and start it from there, and then after we're done, I post it to Facebook. I don't have any. They're on both, and I have no problems whatsoever. So I'm
Oh,
just.
Now
okay.
with
So
YouTube, would you be able to tag my channel?
I could, yeah. If you put in the chat here saying what your channel is, then I'll be
On
happy.
YouTube, it's just Combat Zone 360.
Okay, I'll do that. If I do it
okay.
right now, we're going to start getting a feedback kind of thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's going to come back through my microphone here, but let me. I'll do when I publish it after it's live. Then we'll I'll do that. I'll make sure that
Not a
happens.
problem.
All right. Okay. Let me. Matter of fact, let me get out of YouTube right now, so I'm not.
Mhm.
Because there's about a 2 second delay, maybe. So
Mhm.
let me get. Okay, so we're good. We're live on YouTube, and it's on my channel. If you have people, just go look for John Case's channel. That's where it'll be. If you
Okay,
want
John
to leave a
Casey's channel.
message, that it's live there right now. I can
Mhm.
send you the link. Um,
Okay. You send it to my email.
I'll put it in the chat right here in a
Mhm.
second.
Okay,
So
got
you
you.
can do that, okay. Uh, the link, and then we're gonna go into
You said John.
case here. Here, I'm sending you the link to the YouTube thing right now in the chat here.
I'm trying to go on my phone so I can text it to people.
Mhm.
All right, there. I just put the link in the chat.
Mhm.
Okay, now we don't have any echo.
Mhm.
Um, oh, let me. You came back in here, James. Hold on a second
Okay, I'm
here.
coming out.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, so we live? Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
We
We're
hot.
live
We
right
got a
now.
hot
Yeah,
mic. We got a hot mic.
you
Okay,
got a
we
hot
coming
mic.
in combat zone 360.
Okay,
Yeah,
you want me to start playing it?
yeah. Let's go.
Okay, let
Let's
me
go. Let's get this
share
party
that
started.
screen. Hold on a second. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Give me one sec.
Mm.
Hold on. Let me share that screen and the sound.
Is that a GS or a QS? Legs?
That's
Welcome to Combat Zone 360, where we discuss everything military. Today on our show, we have a FDNY firefighter and Marine veteran, Erin Clark. Thank you for joining me today,
Thank you
Erin.
for having me, Jay.
Yes. So what I like to do with my guests is I really like to start off by learning a little bit about where you came from. If you could explain that.
Absolutely. I grew up in California, in Monterey Bay, Santa Cruz, California. Spent the decent amount of my childhood there, and then did travel around a little bit before that, from Monterey to Washington a little bit, and then ended up back in Santa Cruz, California. And I had a really good friend of mine who was joining the military, to join the Marine Corps. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, man, it's like, I want to join the Marine Corps." What? Like, I don't know about that. I was like, "Have fun." Yeah. And then he said, he's like, "What do you think about going with me?" I was like, you know what? Sure. I'm in. Let's do it. So we joined the Marine Corps together, and still friends to this day. And and we've been friends since elementary school. So.
Oh wow. So with you coming from California, I know that you traveled around quite a bit. What really brought you out to New York City?
Well, I had a friend of mine who was when I got out of the Marine Corps, and when I was in the Marine Corps, one of my friends had got out, and he came to New York, and he became a New York City police officer.
Okay. And
New York City is extremely great to veterans. They give a 5-point preference to veterans, and it's a very pro-veteran city. So he's like, "Come on and move out here. It'd be great." So in 2001, I sold my house in San Diego and moved out to New York.
Oh, so just uprooted the family, huh?
Yeah, me and my wife, we came out, and I took the test in 2002, and took a little while to get on. Waited around a little bit until 2008. Got on and loved the job. It's a great job.
So when you were in the Marine Corps, what did you do while you were in the Marine Corps?
I was an ammo tech, 2311, for 3rd Battalion, 11th Marines, India Battery.
Okay.
It was a great company. We were stationed at 29 Palms. I was in 94 and 98.
I'm very familiar with 29 Palms.
Oh, yeah. The stumps.
Oh, yeah. So how many years did you do in?
I did 4 years.
4 years? So you just did your first tour and got out?
Just did my first tour and got out. I wanted to pursue firefighting or law enforcement. I kind of went along the public safety workforce, and more towards firefighting than police. But if either one would have been great. Great job.
Nice. So how did your wife feel about you uprooting and coming out this way?
Originally, she's actually originally from Jersey. Okay. So it all worked out, actually. She came back, spent some time with her family. It was good. It was actually a good transition. And we actually lived with her parents for a while when we first moved. So that was they liked it. It was a good. They didn't want us to leave.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, talking. It was like getting to visit with them for a couple of years. So
exactly.
It was good.
So with you being from California and her being from New Jersey, how did the connection happen?
I met her in 29 Palms. She was out with her dog, out on just hanging out in there's this place called 29 Palms Inn. Mm-hmm. And so went out there, and I happened to meet, and we kind of hit it off, and then got married a couple years later. So it was good.
Nice. So she moved out there, or she was just out there visiting?
She was living out there at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was living out there.
A lot of people just don't up and go to 29 Palms.
No, it really is. I mean, as somebody that's not in the military and being forced to live there,
exactly,
it's a beautiful place. You have the Joshua tree, but if the military is kind of a different thing when you're camping out in the desert and and not really getting to appreciate. You can appreciate the stars. That's about it.
Exactly.
Although actually, I was telling somebody just recently that I was stationed there when the Hale-Bopp comet went over.
Oh wow!
And we had night vision goggles. Yeah. And to see a comet with night vision goggles was incredible. It was like you could see the whole thing just from your eyes, where it was a little bit harder. I think it was harder to see without the night vision, but the night vision actually helped. So that was like the one bonus about being there. But it was a good station, good duty. A lot of great friends from it. Still this day, actually, I had lunch with one of the guys I was stationed with today. So he's nice. He works in Queens.
Yeah, one thing about the military, you end up being a family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So, lifelong family right there.
For sure.
So I know I brought you on the show for one particular reason, and that's the Spartan Sword.
Yes.
The Spartan
Yes.
Sword, I know you guys, I've heard you speak about it before, and I thought it was an amazing job that you guys were doing, and I said, this is one thing I have to promote on the show.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if you could tell us a little bit about the Spartan Sword.
Yes, absolutely. So this is a piece of World Trade Center steel. I take this everywhere I go with a sword. This piece in particular is among many pieces that were given to the families of the firemen that we lost. So when they gave them the flag, they gave them a piece of steel. And the pieces that were left over, they had a box of them, like a bunch of them. And one of the guys who is since now retired, he would take them down to Walter Reed, Bethesda. He would give them out to a lot of the veterans that are wounded. His name's Danny Prince. He's the heart of the fire department. He does above and beyond what you could imagine a fireman doing for his brothers and sisters, and for the 9/11 families. Even still to this day, they run a fire family transport, and they facilitate vehicles for wounded firefighters as well as firefighters that are battling World Trade Center sicknesses, so, which is quite a few, actually a lot. So Danny was bringing these down to Walter Reed, and he met this soldier named Boone Cutler. Boone Cutler he was from Nevada, and he was having a hard time, and he was talking to Boone, and so he had Boone had created this pledge, the Spartan Pledge, and the pledge goes, I will not take my own life by my own hands until I talk to my battle buddy first. My mission is to find a mission to help my warfighter family. And that pledge is kind of a two-part pledge, where you have the person who's struggling, who makes that promise to talk to that person. Say, hey, I'm in a rough spot. I will contact somebody. It just makes that promise of contacting somebody. And the second part is to help your warfighter family, which can be translated to any group. It doesn't have to necessarily be military. Yeah. Although our military group thrives off of pledges and packs. We are pack-driven, pledge-driven fighters that want to be there for our brothers and sisters,
exactly,
no matter what.
Yeah.
So Boone Cutler, he took this pledge, and he's been going, all over the place with a pledge, and he met Danny, and so him and Danny started talking, and this guy named Steve Luker, Daniluk, who was also a pilot in the Marine Corps, he happened to know another guy named Carl Monger, who is in charge of the Gallant Few. I'm sure it's a very large charitable organization that has a significant amount of charities underneath the Gallant Few, and they do everything. But it's a very large veteran transition group.
Okay.
So Carl Monger said, hey, I got a guy who can take this steel and turn it into a sword, because Danny, Boone, and Steve kind of said, let's make a Spartan Sword out of this steel for your Spartan Pledge. So they got it down to Texas. They took the steel down to Texas, and Carl Monger brought it to a guy named Shane Stanton, and at the time he was in McKinney, Texas, and he was a famous swordsmith. So they got the sword down to McKinney, Texas, and it took quite a long time to have this made. Shane wanted this to be a battle-ready sword, so I could take this right now and chop a tree down with it, take it to battle. Wow. This is not a
dull show sword.
A show sword. Yeah. This is a real sword.
Yeah.
The burl that's on the handle was actually given to him by a Vietnam veteran who had died, and it had been on his shelf for a long time, and he was looking for a very special place for it to be to use for it. So he said, I'm going to use this burl. The handle is made out of bridge pins from a bridge in Washington State, and the steel is meant to, I don't know if you can see it. It's meant to resemble a flag, the lines in the flag.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the lines.
Yeah. And they had inscribed fortitude, honor, and sacrifice on one side. And on the other side, it's 9/11/01. And then lest we forget in Latin, we have the fire, 343, the Port Authority, the police, and the 2 flights, the numbers. Mm-hmm. So once it was, Shane had made it. This was approximately 5 years ago. Danny started, well, first of all, when it came back from Texas, it was received in an honor, like everyone from the baggage handlers, and they put it on the machine to bring it back in the plane. They had a whole service for it. They brought it in, and since that day, thousands of men and women are alive today not directly because of the sword, but it's a tool that they use to help them deal with what they've battled.
Yeah. And before we get into that, I do want to ask, so the sword itself is 911 steel.
Correct.
Now, the metal pieces around the handle, they came from a bridge in Washington?
It was a bridge pins from a bridge in Washington. And he used, apparently when they do a Damascus forge, I'm not too familiar with it, but they do have to layer it with, he layered it with a heavier steel. Okay. So that's what gave it the toughness. So when he forged it in a Damascus forge. So it was, extremely hard.
Strong. Okay.
Great interview. Yeah. Hey, John, can we cut it right there? Talk a little bit.
He started doing stuff with the.
Jay, you still there?
All right. I am here.
Okay, let me bring Jay on, and that's a very interesting piece, Jay. I got about 25 questions about that piece alone, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Very interesting stuff. So let me bring Jay up. Ladies and gentlemen that are listening, I'd like to introduce a young man. I'm going to call him a young man who served in the military, in the Army for 21 years as a combat veteran. And he joined the military right out of high school. He served honorably in Fort Stewart, Georgia, Fort Lewis, Washington, which is where I went in country at, over in Vietnam, Schofield Barracks, Brooklyn, New York, Orlando, Florida. Jay has moved around. Hartford, Connecticut. He served 2 tours, ladies and gentlemen, 2 tours in Iraq. Let that marinate. From 2004, 2005, and 2007 to 2009. His top awards and badges consist of the Combat Infantry Badge. And if you don't know what that looks like, I love this. About mine, Jay. I brought it in full uniform. Combat Infantry Badge, an Expert Infantry Badge. I want to ask you about that one. Air Assault, boy, that's a tough one. 2 Meritorious Service Medals, a Humanitarian Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal with Valor, and a Purple Heart. After retiring in 2018, Jay developed a talk show, Combat Zone 360, to educate communities about the military and veterans that airs in New York and on YouTube. Welcome to the show, Jay. We got a lot of ground to cover. I got a lot of questions to ask, but I would like you to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what your mission is today.
So I know Erin, during the video we just watched, brought up 29 Palms, California. And the reason why I said I know that very well is because I was born in 29 Palms, California. So my dad was actually a Marine. Yes. And I traveled a lot between 29 Palms and Camp Pendleton throughout my life. And really after I after high school, I joined the military right out of high school, and I did 3 years, and I was like, you know what, this military isn't for me, and I ended up getting out of the military. And when I got out of the military, I ended up meeting my beautiful wife, and you know, I figured, you know what, I want to do the right thing for her. I want to make sure she has a great life. So I ended up coming back into the military, and you know, the rest was history. I served 21 years. I mean, you've talked about what I've done. And when I retired, I decided to figure out, you know, well, how am I still going to give back? And I developed this show that I host, Combat Zone 360, on YouTube. And, you know, the Staten Island Community Television was actually helping me with everything. And it was really just to educate about the veteran community and to help veterans out, to give them a platform to tell their stories. Because when I was on recruiting for 9 years with the Army, I would talk to families about the Army, and they don't know what it's about. I would go in there and they said, no, my kid's not going to war and dying. Well, do you know only 10% of the Army combat arms? The rest is support. My son joined, you know, my daughter joined. I have a family history in the military. And, you know, so that helped me push that. And throughout that time, I still wanted to give back. So now I also teach junior ROTC in Newark, New Jersey, at Barringer High School.
Yeah, right up the road from me, actually, not too far from where I live right now. Boy, that's a really good. I wanted to ask you a little bit, Jay, about where you grew up. Because I know you always start your show off with a really good opening. So I like that. I don't try and remember how to say it. But you say you want to know where people are from and how they got where they are today and what neighborhoods they grew up in, what it was like. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? About how you grew up and how you started in the career that you're in right now?
No, definitely. So I grew up mainly between 29 Palms and Camp Pendleton, California. My dad was a Marine, and he moved between those two bases. And I grew up like any other kid. I ended up playing football, running track, running cross country, playing basketball. So I was more in the sport aspect of high school. Not really into the clubs, not really into junior ROTC, even though my school had it. And whenever the military came to talk to me, I told them, no, my dad's a Marine. I'm not joining the military. I'm not doing it. And it's funny where it leads you, and you end up, you know, following that path, because really that's what I knew. I knew what the military was about. And throughout my military career, you know, I served 12 years in the infantry, frontline fighter, earned my CIB, combat infantry badge, earned my EIB, expert infantry badge, got my air assault badge while I was stationed in Hawaii, you know, but it's the times that, you know, I had to deploy, and, you know, the times that I was away from my spouse were very hard. Even though the military is a hard life, it's a fulfilling life. It's a life that is really gratifying. And the one day that I would never remember is the day I got wounded in Iraq. And I had to really call my wife and inform her that I was wounded in Iraq, and before she heard any rumors. So when we got back, I was told, go to the phones, call your wife, let her know what happened. So, you know, it was an obstacle that I had to cross.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny that go ahead, Jay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
It was just something that, you know, I wanted to, you know, continue giving back when I got out of the military. And really, that's what led me back down through what I'm doing now.
So we have Tybu's, he came on, he's straightening his tie there. You're in full and in living color. Welcome aboard. Yeah, man, you're looking good. Looking really good.
Thank you.
So welcome, Tyrone. Tyrone, we were just listening to Jay share with us a little bit about his background and his story and the backstory and you know, what his mission is today. So well, Jay, you want to go ahead? Go ahead, Tyrone.
Let me piggyback off Jay.
Okay, go ahead.
He is awesome.
Awesome, I agree.
Run a program to our city, which is North, as an educator / junior officer TC instructor / sergeant, his partner, colonel. Oh man, listen, they got off the ground running, and they just started. We just started back into the school system on the 12th. And this guy here, his motivation, I mean, what he brings to the table is awesome. The kids, the administration, the principal, everybody love him. I mean, he's on 0 to 100, man. I mean, he just blend in with there. We're just glad to have his energy, bringing what he bring there to our actual city, and you know, just based upon North. And the kids, the people.
Yeah, I knew I had somebody special when you brought the conversation to me, and so I'm so grateful for that. And Jay, moving over to you, like what Tyrone was just talking about the kids. Do you ever get a chance to talk to the kids about air assault and how you got those commendations? Tell us a little bit about how that happens. Our air assault commendation. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, well, the funny thing was I was actually in Hawaii during that time, and I just got back from Iraq, and our first sergeant, who was now the first sergeant at the air assault school in Hawaii, sent it out to all of the his old company, and said, hey, if you want to go to air assault, now's the time. Sign up, get in. So we ended up signing up, a bunch of us from our company, and we ended up going, and a lot of people do fall out because it is a very demanding school. But it was something that I was able to really excel at because it was fun. I mean, to repel from a big wall, to repel from a helicopter, I mean, it was something I've never done in life. So
how much of that enthusiasm about that came from your childhood, where you would say that this is a lot of fun? I mean, how did you frame yourself? And I believe that's a really good question, because it taps into what you're made of, because you talk about when you open up your show, you want to know where people come from. You want to know what they're made of. How did they decide to get into the military?
Yeah, the reason why I do that, right? The reason why I do that is because I want individuals to know, have them be young adults or have them be high school students, know that they can relate with individuals that have served their country, that they did the same thing in high school that these veterans did. And it allows them to realize that they can do the same thing. If they want to. Don't think that you're not physically fit enough to join the military. They will train you to get to where you need to be. Anybody can join the military as long as you're physically and mentally able to. And you have to pass the ASVAB, which is a pretty tough test, but it's not, I mean, it's achievable. It's something you can do. And with this, I mean, you're able to, I want my guests on my show to be able to relate with the viewers and vice versa. I want that young high school kid watching my show to be able to say, you know what? Maybe I can join the Army. Maybe I can get out there and work out and push myself and do great things for my future. And that type of energy that I take within my show, I take within the classroom. And I push those kids the same way. I want you to know that anything you can dream is achievable.
Anything, and with that temperament, how closely do you relate your temperament and the temperament of Tyrone, my nephew, and
hey, John.
how does the whole idea of having this kind of temperament and this kind of enthusiasm all in the same building, if you will?
Well,
because I think it's really good stuff here.
Yeah.
For Barringer High. You know, I didn't play football against Barringer High, but I always argued against Barringer High. I went to West Side, Tyrone. And so Barringer was like a nemesis. And so Jay, so you and Tyrone, to me, bring something special to the Barringer family. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because you came up with the 360, the Combat Zone 360. How did you develop that, and how does it relate to the work that you are doing in the school system right now and as a recruiter? Three questions. Woo.
Definitely. Well, first we'll start off with the Barringer High School, me and Tyrone. And it's pretty funny, though, because Tyrone came to me in the school and he said, hey, would you like the opportunity to come and talk to my football team about junior ROTC? And I told him straight up, I would love that opportunity. And when I saw him in the hallway later on, we had a discussion, and we came to find out we had a mutual friend, Ray Mercer. And at that point, Tyrone and I have been, nobody can split us up. We were up in
Ray's in that boxing world, guys.
Right?
You know, Ray's in the boxing world. You know, he got a nephew. That's Shakur Stevens' uncle there. The one who wanted to go to medal. Yeah. So he's a pro boxer also.
Yeah. So the funny thing is at the beginning, junior ROTC had to find a room because we were having construction done, and we ended up in Tyrone's room in 310. And he was very welcoming. He's like, "Yep, bring it in. I love the way your motivation is. I love the way you treat these kids. Let's continue it together." And then when they kicked us off the third floor and we had to move back down to our classroom, Tyrone came right along with us. And we took that same atmosphere there and we brought it right downstairs into our classroom.
They was doing testing on the third floor, so they asked us to go downstairs. So John, hey man, just let you know, John, this guy here, oh man, come on. It's a pleasure and just a delight to have him, man. So I had to bring him to my uncle, man, and sit down and do some little networking there, man. And they kicked it off right away.
For the kids, that's right. For the community, for the kids, the community. You know,
it's
like you guys got a dynamic duo going on here.
What?
But see, I see the I see the chemistry and how important is cadence. I know that's a word you're familiar with, Jay. Cadence.
Well, to back up a little bit
about cadence. Go ahead.
Yes, I definitely will. And to back up a little bit, the atmosphere that we bring in and the way that I run my show, where I get to know the guest and the individual that I'm interviewing, I treat the kids the same way. For example, I will take these kids that are showing up to school right now during hybrid, and when we have time, we go down to the gym and I work out one-on-one with them, 1-on-5.
Yes, you do.
Tyrone and I were down there today after school, working out with the kids, training them, building that relationship, building that rapport with them. That way they're going to trust us when it comes to them graduating, and they're going to really listen to what we say, because it's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about Tyrone. It's not about any individual faculty that's in that school. It's about mentoring and coaching and guiding these kids to success and getting them out of high school and having them move on with their future.
Okay.
To be successful.
Yeah. That's good cadence. I'm kind of.
Now we're talking about cadence. So here, when we talk about cadence, right? In the military, we always call cadence when we're running, when we're walking. Exactly. Left, right. Yep. So it's because we want the individuals that we're with to work as a team. When we're calling left, everybody in that formation is stepping on their left foot, and it's just working as a team, coming together as a well-oiled unit to be able to know what the individual to your left and the individual to your right is about to do. And that is what builds a team. So yes, cadence is very important.
And let me weave something in here, because we're in the 21st century. Hip hoppers, they rely on cadence to be able to rap the way that they do. It sounds to somebody that will take the time to find out what this poetry is about, the same as it is in the military. It's poetic. And so when the cadence is correct, herp, herp, part, pick up your left foot, put down your right. In hip hop, they do the same thing with cadence. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's his name? Biggie Smalls out the door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Biggie Smalls out the door. It's cadence. They have to keep up. So it
and
seems
if you
to me
notice,
yeah,
during any instrument that is played, there's some types of cadence while playing an instrument, no matter what instrument it is.
Do you ever get to
There's
talk
always a
about?
cadence.
Do you guys ever get to talk about incarceration and prison, and how to avoid those snares to your kids?
That's very important that you say that, and that I'm really glad you brought that up, because there's a project that I'm trying to move on to, and it's going to be a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And because I work everything military, and I'm always in the veteran community, and I always want to lift these veterans up and let their stories be told and let them be heard. I have a crew together, a documentary crew together that is going to help me with this project. But what we want to do is we want to do small 30-minute documentaries on veterans that have been incarcerated and that are outside carrying on with their life and doing a lot better. We want to deal with veterans that have been in rehab, that are doing great things with their life, that are moving on. We want to deal with incarcerated veterans that are incarcerated now. But the reason why we want to do this is, for one, to get their story out there, but also to allow them to talk about what went wrong in their life, so other veterans and other individuals in these communities can hear their story and really realize not to go down that line. That's something I don't need to do, because this is where I can end up.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Tyrone?
Well, hey, we talked about that when we actually connected. We definitely talked about that, and that's how we actually linked up and talked about our boxing commissioner in New Jersey, Larry Hazard, and actually what I do and with the boxers. And that's how we got into the conversation with Ray Mercer. He's a vet. Okay, he actually won that medal in the Olympics, and he actually went on to the things that he's doing in the boxing world.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that mutual friend.
Yep.
And hey.
And fun fact real quick, Ray Mercer is the only Olympic boxer ever to knock out every opponent he went against to win gold.
He sure did.
Yeah, that's something. That's something to document, and documentation is so very important. And to document those stories and be able to put them in a cup for future generations, it's so much more accessible right now. And so that's where my friend John Case comes in. I know he's been listening because he's working the ones and twos. John, tell us about what our step one would be, or what Jay's step one would be in his trying to get some editing done and try to have more projects that need the kind of resources that we bring to bear. John, are you there?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
What's up, John?
Hey, buddy.
John, you on the beach back there?
Yes.
All right, John.
I'm always on the beach.
Yeah, he stays. You got to see his fingers. They're all
yeah, man.
From water. They waterlogged. So, John, you heard the question, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think really the success, unless you're going to get a gig with a regular radio station, if you're going to use the internet, then the real trick is having your friends and groups of people publish themselves, share on the social media, right? If you have 10 friends and each of them shares a program, for example, 10 times, well, that's 100. Right. And if 10 more do it, it can be, and actually, you Facebook typically will display your post to approximately 25 other people.
Sure.
you know, so if you take 25 times 25 times 25 times 25 times 25, you know, you're potentially, that's how you build up a, you know, like a wave of attention,
Absolutely.
you know, on
And
social media.
yeah. And
So,
Jay, it sounds like. Go ahead, John.
well, and so if you, I mean, producing a program that's podcastable is really just finding someone who's interesting and using a video editor, okay? And you can, there's a lot of them out there that for under $50 you can do. I mean, if you want to spend the time to learn it,
Amazing things, yeah.
or pay somebody $15 an hour to or more to do it for you.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
then
it. That's it. That's it. Them
you can-
ROTC kids.
right, you can
Tyrone
cook up,
can get them kids. Tyrone, whenever we go in a neighborhood around here and he pull up, he gets a crowd around him all the time. So
and you can actually edit a video right on YouTube's creator platform, and you don't have to pay a dime for it. You know, so.
And Jay, I think you were talking to me about your film crew and everybody. You have the resources that John and I have been talking about for a couple of years. It's just that we don't have the bodies. And so that's where Tyrone comes in, that I believe, because Tyrone can get them kids, and they all seem to be smarter than we are when it comes to technology. And I don't mind. I don't mind, because that's where it's supposed to be. And so they have something that we might not ever attain, but we got something they'll never attain, and that's the history. You know, we got the history. We bring that forward. Yeah. So Jay, you've listened to all of us share. Go ahead, John.
I want to get a chance to ask Jay a question when you
go ahead.
When you're done.
Go ahead.
Well,
you can do that right now.
It has to do. Not a lot of countries. For example, in Canada, I believe there really isn't an effective Boy Scout program, because I believe the military recruits the youth into some sort of youth camping, but they're also used in emergencies, like a national youth service. That's not quite that, but there's countries that have this as a certain way in which the military participates, for example, in public works in the country. Now, in this country, historically, they've been excluded from that. But my question really is, you know, there's a ton of public works and public service that needs to be done in country. And there's also a whole, question of, can people coming from different nationalities and races and genders and maybe lifestyles, you know, in their country, can they form a working, tightly coordinated group together and accomplish a job by working cooperatively together? You know, when I worked for Microsoft, one of the interesting things about that corporation is that they had to get rid of redneck attitudes out of the company. They had to, because you're on the phone with people all over the world in every kind of circumstance, and if you did not treat people with respect, you know, and as if they or as if they were stupid or something like that, then, you know, the whole support thing falls completely apart. And so it was a tough decision, because, you know, people like to hire people into good jobs with their families and their friends, and nepotism and all the rest of it. I mean, there's a natural tendency to do that. And you had to fight against that in the cases of some families. you know, otherwise you ended up with an adversarial circumstance where people could not work together.
True.
And they couldn't cooperate. So I don't know. Was one of your thought about, can the military, is there a role in national service that maybe the military and its ability to mold people to be able to work together, is there a role, an expanded role that maybe there should be?
You know, well, I'll tell you that, and thank you for asking that question, because it's really interesting, because that's what the military is based on. And one thing you have to look at is, throughout the military, you have to understand, we have every race, every creed, every religion, every culture in the military. So to come together as a well-oiled group, you have to, for one, educate yourself. You have to realize, with every religion out there, every culture out there, there are do's and do nots. And as an individual, when I was a leader in the military, I took it upon myself to learn all those cultures' do's and do nots. And that allowed me to work hand in hand with them. And with the military, when you come together, you need to have that brotherhood and sisterhood dealing with individuals. So in every type of field you go into, have it be NYPD, FDNY, Newark Police Department, the Army, the Marines, the Navy, hospitals, every career you get into, even Microsoft, you're going to have your dirtbags. And they're going to linger around.
That's true.
Yes, and it's going to take that leadership to expunge those dirtbags. And sometimes the leadership is the dirtbag, you know? And it's like you have to just sometimes be better. You have to show, like you have to outshine that leader that's a dirtbag. And I've had to do it many times in the Army. And eventually that dirtbag gets fired and let go. And then you get a better leader in there. You know, I've had my fair share of good leaders, and I've had my fair share of terrible leaders in the Army. Mm-hmm. And I've learned from every single individual that I worked under. From the good leaders, I've learned what to do, and from the bad leaders, I learned what not to do.
There you go.
And that allowed me to develop my own leadership style. And I have never had any complaints when it came to my leadership style. Mm-hmm. And I was very successful. Now, I wasn't one of those people, I wasn't one of those yes men, you know, which probably stopped me from growing as much as I could in the military. Mm-hmm. But I looked out for the people that worked for me, because I call it the umbrella theory. If I look out for them, but I hold them to a standard, they're going to look out for me, and they're going to make sure that mission becomes complete if I'm there or I'm not there. Mm-hmm. When my soldiers came into work every day, I said, this is what you need to do. You need to do A, B, C, D, and E. If you accomplish A, B, C, D, and E, and our mission is met for the month, or we're on track to meet our mission, you're done for the day. Mm-hmm. Go home. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't tell you how many times I was written up because we were supposed to work on Saturday, but my soldiers sat at home because they were making their mission. You know, I looked out for mine. Mm-hmm. And when my first sergeant or my sergeant major said something, I'm like, hey, you have two choices in life. You can either let me do my job, or you can tell me to go home and come run my office for me. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Bottom line. You know? Yeah. Yours is not the reason why. Yours is to do or die. And I say jump, you say how high. Yeah, and we would always say in Nam, we the unwilling, led by the unqualified, to do the unnecessary for the ungrateful. Yeah, so domain specific. And you bring all of that energy back to the civilian world. And without the Army, I don't think I would have made it as a leader in prison, because I look, using hindsight, I used my background in the Army and my military discipline that I got, which is domain specific, and I just brought it. It's just in me. It's in set. Like I remember my serial number, RA11765692, and I got that serial number in 1968, and I still remember it because the Army, and they put that in you. We have things in Jay's familiar, no man left behind. Well, that doesn't just mean to pick somebody up out of the jungle and take them back. There you go, Jay. It means a lot.
I'll always place the mission first. Yeah. I'll never accept defeat. I'll never quit. I'll never leave a fallen comrade. Mm-hmm. Have it tattooed on me so I never forget.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know, I'll tell you, when I came out of high school, I was very immature. And throughout my first 3 years, I was very immature. But the military taught me how to be the man I am today.
Yeah.
You know, they say the biggest fear that an individual has is public speaking. That is more of a fear than death itself. And when I used to get up in front of my leadership and have to brief them or have to recite the NCO creed or sit on a board to be promoted, at the very beginning, when I would stand up to do that, I would just break out in a sweat. And I would just be like, oh my God. And I would struggle through it. But that taught me how to overcome those obstacles and what to do. So next time I sit there and do it, I'm better. And I have no issues talking in front of people now, talking in public. I mean, it doesn't matter to me at all.
You're doing a great job right now.
Hey, listen, let me tell you, he loves it, man. I mean, he's just a natural in our school system, man. It's just a pleasure to have him in the class working with him. He makes our job so easy because he just loves kids.
And, you know, I do want to, I do want to put this out. I know you guys played the clip of the Spartan Sword at the very beginning of the show. And I challenge everybody who's watching this and who's listening to this to really go on the internet and look up the Spartan Sword, because this sword was forged from 9/11 steel. And the gentleman that I interviewed, Erin Clark, he is one of, I think, 2 or 3 that travel the United States and go to the events and combat suicide. And as you see my bracelet right here, 22 a day. You know, we have way too many veterans committing suicide on a regular basis. And, you know, that sword has saved so many lives. So I would challenge you to go check it out and do some research on it, because they're doing great things.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, for right here on Recovery Radio, we would like to, we don't like to blow through conversation, because when we talk and have these interviews, a lot of stuff is left out. So I just want to formally, you know, let you know you got an open invitation to come back and share with our audience a lot more and be specific about the sword and all of the other projects that you're doing. Because I think that for John and I here on Recovery Radio, we have been trying to reach a diverse and wide audience all across the country. And so we just keep at it. You know, it's repetitive. That's how you get better at things, to keep doing it over and over and over. So, you know, I appreciate you coming on, and I like what you're doing. I watched some of the clips that you brought some people on, and you said that you wanted to be an actor. So talk to us a little bit about that. That's the one I'm interested in.
VME, yes. I interviewed a gentleman here in Staten Island, and he's the president of he runs an organization here, and their biggest chapter is in Hollywood, California, but it's VME, Veterans in Media and Entertainment. So if veterans are out there listening, and you guys are interested in getting into acting or anything, camera work or doing the soundboard or whatever you want to do within the entertainment and media field, look up VME. And if you're a veteran, sign up. I mean, it's another club, just like American Legion or Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, Purple Heart Foundation, which I'm a member of. You know, there's so many military clubs out there, and you know, if you're a veteran out there and you feel lonely, there's always a veteran out there to reach out to. I mean, you guys can reach out to me. My email is combatzone360@gmail.com. It's the name of my show. You know, and you can even go on my YouTube channel, leave me a comment. Hey, reach out to me. I need help.
So if I'm a veteran that's incarcerated right now, how could I reach out to some organizations from within the system to prepare me for when I get out? And how can we reach you? Just give us some information on that.
Well, for myself, the best way is through email, combatzone360@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I check that email on a daily basis. I'm also on Instagram, Combat Zone 360. I got off of Facebook all because of politics, but it seems like I got to get back on because that's a really good way to, get out there in the public for what I'm doing. I just won't follow certain people.
That's right.
But yeah, but really it's Military One Source I know is for reservists or military, but really you can talk to any veteran, go to VFW meetings. You can go on Google and look up for a VFW or an American Legion. Go talk to veterans, let them know, hey, I'm a veteran. I've been honorably discharged, but this is what happened to me when I got out. I need help. Are there any resources out there for me? Disabled American Veterans, DAV, they helped me out with my claim where I was a first time 100%, go on my disability rating. There's
how long did it take you to get to 100?
Man, I was a first time go. Once I got out, DAV helped me submit my stuff. Yeah, I Purple Heart recipient, PTSD, all of that. Yeah, it was pretty quick for me.
What's the 411 on the for any veteran that's going in to try and get a percentage or whatever? What is the information on? Let's talk specifics about the difference between non-employable and total and permanent.
Yeah, so the thing is, when you go out for your disability, you're going to be able to put in your claim, and you can get anywhere from 10% to 100%, even over 100%, but you have non-employable and employable. And in my eyes, you always want to stay employable unless you're just really broke down to where you cannot work. You should always want to work, especially with PTSD, because it keeps your mind busy and it keeps your mind sharp. But if you're just unable to work, definitely go for unemployable, but because then you can put in for your Social Security, even though you can put it in for at any time as a disabled veteran, and they'll determine if you get it or not. But I would definitely tell everybody the most help I've gotten was through disabled American veterans when it came to doing my claim. They were very professional. They were very good. Now, just don't take my word as gold. Just like I said, in any organization, you're going to have your dirtbags.
Yeah.
So if you run into a dirtbag, let them know and ask them for a different representative.
Yeah. All right. What's the T-shirt? I like. What's it? Red. Talk to us. What's the offer?
So today is Friday. Friday, and today we're celebrating Red Friday, and it's remember everybody deployed. So you always have to on Friday. It's all about the color red. Red Friday.
Is that every Friday?
Oh,
every Friday.
Every Friday is Red Friday.
Tradition. We'll start that tradition. Right. I have a rooftop cafe over here. Tyrone has come down.
Hey, I'm almost there. I got burgundy. Hey, John, I'm almost there.
What I got?
Hey, John, go to show you. We appreciate what you're doing too, man. I hear so much about you. Your partner here, he talks about you all the time.
Yeah, that's my lifesaver right there, John.
Yeah, so what were you saying about that rooftop?
Oh, I was saying that Tyrone gave us a suggestion, my wife and I. We're going to start a tradition every Friday. In the evenings, we're going to have a lunch up there or dinner or something for family to come up and enjoy it, and just to start a tradition of people meeting. And you're welcome to come over if we can set it between the time you get off work, on your way home, you stop over here at the house and grab a burger, man, or whatever it is that
Definitely.
you want to take you across the bridge.
Now, because John, Fat Boy always
it's
wants
all
to
about
eat.
Networking, John. It's all about networking.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
John,
I love that.
Hey, what do they say, Tyrone? Fat Boy always wants to eat.
That is true. Yeah, we get. Hey,
so I'll tell you here shortly. We're probably going to be doing some fundraising events ourselves because we're trying to raise some money to do the documentary for Ray Mercer. And I have a rooftop here with a 360 view of the city and New Jersey and everything. So once we start doing that fundraising, I'll definitely let you know. And
Yeah.
Please come over.
You got it, man.
Yep.
You got it. So we're right here at 7:25. We're gonna. Any parting words, Jay, before we sign off? Hey, John, we might want to do a little Jeb Mo on our way out. Think that's possible?
I can,
yeah.
No, because I'm too afraid to do it right now.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna get. You're gonna disrupt some things. No, he can't.
No,
electronic.
I nailed too much about Facebook's gotten terrible, and
here you go, James. I'll close it out like.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll close it out like I close out all my shows.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for watching and listening. And please, if you're out in the community, thank a veteran.
Thank a veteran. Yeah.
Thank
with
a veteran.
That.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Don, we appreciate you, brother.
Everybody.
All right.
Yes.
All right. See.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Jay, again. You
Okay.
guys take care.
You're welcome.
I'll send out an email to where this video cast is going to be.